He wasn't scheduled to fight. He wasn't even on the card. But when Dillon Danis walked into UFC 322, he made sure everyone knew he was there. What followed wasn't a match. It was a meltdown, a brawl so chaotic, so public, that it got him banned from the UFC permanently. This is the story of how Dillon Danis went from rising MMA star to persona non grata in the world's biggest fight promotion. To understand the chaos, you have to understand the man behind it. Dillon Danis wasn't always a headline for controversy. He started as a respected jiu-jitsu competitor, training under Marcelo Garcia and earning his black belt at just 21. His technical skills were undeniable. But it wasn't until he joined Conor McGregor's camp in 2016 that the world really noticed him. Danis was brash, loud, and unapologetically confrontational, a perfect fit for McGregor's entourage. He wasn't just a coach. He was a provocateur. And when the infamous UFC 229 brawl broke out between McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov, Danis was in the middle of it, literally. Khabib leapt over the cage and went straight for Danis. That moment cemented his reputation. Not just a fighter, but a magnet for chaos. Despite the buzz, Danis' actual MMA career was minimal. He signed with Bellator and fought twice, both wins, both against low-tier opponents. Then, silence. Years passed without another fight. Instead, Danis built his brand on social media feuds, podcast appearances, and public stunts. He called out Jake Paul, Logan Paul, KSI, and half the UFC roster, but never stepped into the cage. Critics called him a clout chaser. Fans called him entertaining. But the UFC, they called him trouble. November 15th, 2025. UFC 322. Madison Square Garden. The arena was packed. The energy was electric. Danis wasn't on the card, but he was cage side, seated near Islam Makhachev's team. Tension was already high. Then, during the co-main event walkout, chaos erupted. Danis reportedly exchanged words with Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Security tried to intervene, but fists flew. Multiple fighters and team members got involved. Danis was seen throwing punches, shoving officials, and yelling at fans. The broadcast cut away, but the damage was done. Clips flooded TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter. The headlines were brutal. Danis sparks brawl at UFC 322. Unscheduled chaos, security nightmare. Within hours, UFC CEO Dana White issued a statement. Dillon Danis will never be allowed at a UFC event again. Period. No suspension. No investigation. Just a lifetime ban. Danis was escorted out of the venue, reportedly still shouting at security. The UFC didn't just remove him, they erased him. His name was blacklisted from the UFC. His credibility? Tarnished. And his future in the MMA? Dead on arrival. Danis responded the only way he knew how. Online, he posted cryptic tweets, mocked the UFC, and claimed that the UFC are scared to hire him. But behind bravado, something had shifted. Sponsors pulled back. Podcast invites dried up. Even Bellator, his former promotion, distanced themselves. Danis had crossed a line, and this time there was no comeback arc. The fighter who built a brand on controversy had finally gone too far. This wasn't an isolated incident. Danis' career has been a string of near fights, canceled bouts, and public meltdowns. He was scheduled to fight Logan Paul in 2023, but mocked the sport by literally laying down for Logan in the squared circle. Even his MMA peers began calling him out. Michael Bisping, Nate Diaz, and even McGregor himself distanced from Danis. The pattern was clear. Start drama. Avoid the fight. Go viral. Repeat. But UFC 322 broke the loop. This time, the chaos wasn't just online. It was real, physical, and dangerous. So what's left of Dillon Danis' legacy? A fighter with undeniable talent who chose spectacle over substance. A provocateur who mistook controversy for career. And a man who, in trying to be unforgettable, became uninvitable. The UFC doesn't ban people lightly, but Danis earned it, not through losses, but through behavior. He didn't lose a fight. He lost a room. And in combat sports, that's worse. Dillon Danis is banned from UFC, not because he couldn't fight, but because he wouldn't stop fighting. outside the cage, in the crowd, against the system. And now, the system has shut him out forever.